Calling all warriors! Welcome, my friends, back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. I figured I had a few minutes this afternoon to do one, so I put one on the system and try to catch up a little bit on ones that you guys have. So I appreciate the opportunity to do so. So, thank you guys for your comments, likes, as always, donations. Continue doing that. I'm going to try, as I'm kind of wearing down a little bit to the end here of the semester, trying to do a little more of the summer with the program and with the things that we're doing. I'll try to do some coaching, probably do some streaming. That'll be coming pretty soon. Some shout outs before we start. HVD4, thank you, my friend. Guido Perez, as usual. You guys make great comments, and I appreciate the encouragement. Paulo Otis, thank you. Carl, Miami Hoop. Mike Cabasaan, thank you. Tomoslav, the beard. We'll have to talk about beard at some point because that's something new for me over the last 3 or 4 years. I appreciate that. Antonio, End Times, Rob again. Thank you, Rob. And who else? Moy Hernandez. Everybody looks at you. That's true. That happens all the time. It happened again this morning. All day long. People come in, they want hugs, they want to touch you, they want to be part of you because you have such an aura around you. The negativity is around you as well, and you have to be careful of that because even people who are negative will come by you because they like this energy you have, but you got to be careful because you don't want to drain you out. Luke Paine, thank you, my friend. Giovanni, great comments on jealousy. Jealousy is really a compliment in reverse. We have to kind of talk about that. Line Machine and GV, thank you guys. All right, so the 2-minute mark. Let's talk about our topic, and this comes from Kirubel Dagnachaz. I probably messed this up, but I apologize. But you will get creeped during SR. Interesting. So let's talk about this a little bit. So I think, Kirubel, you make a very good point when you talk about this. But once again, we go back to the reason why this happens. Now, we talk about the word creep, or whatever you want to call this. We're talking about a person who kind of like stalking and really is interested in you and will not let it go. And it doesn't matter if the person has a boyfriend, a husband, whatever it might be, relations of some sort. Doesn't matter what color, anything. They sense your energy. And this, guys, is a key. And I know I want to also make a comment to Zalaksu Zoto as well, talking about looks. It doesn't matter, warriors, what you look like. You actually become more attractive, no matter how you think about yourself, you become more attractive as you're on retention more. And the reason for that is because you learn self-control. If you learn how to master yourself, other behaviors come along with it. We talk about the cold showers. I've talked about that. I've talked about dieting. I've talked about exercising. All these things come along with the fact that you're doing the most important thing, and that's retaining your seed. Now you're starting to look better and better. You're looking younger. You're doing exercises, the Kelder Fountain of Youth exercises, and all of a sudden now you become a superhuman type person because most people don't do this. Most people are caught with their addictions. They're caught with their problems they're having, the stress. They're losing energy through emotional stress. They're losing energy through physical stress, and they don't know how to deal with it. So then they go into addictions. They go to alcohol, sex, drugs, all these type of things, and they don't know how to deal with it because they haven't mastered themselves. It took me many, many years, 47 years of kind of figuring all this out. So I'm hopefully imparting some of this knowledge to you to use this in your way as you guys, a lot of our younger demographics between 19 and 25, 25 and 35, you guys hopefully can use some of this to kind of say, okay, maybe I see some of this. I'm going to try to change my life and change the way that I am. So when we look at this, the key is going to be as you focus on bettering yourself, you become a Lamborghini. You become a great looking thing. And the women especially, and men will respect you, women will not be able to avoid you. And this is because you have this certain aura. They may try not to look at you. They may try not to talk with you. But you can sense it, especially when you're alone. Now, it's a funny thing to me is I've seen these situations recently too, and I know full well what's happening. but it's it's flattering in a way, but you have to be aware of these situations, because people will be looking at you and they'll be kind of coming after you. Now, they may do it indirectly. So when Kirubel talks about creeping, we look at that in many different ways. Women tend not to be the same as men. Men tend to be more overt about it. Women tend to be more subtle about it. But those type of things are things that you look at, and women are still doing these things to give you signs. Now, most men may not pick those up, but you got to be aware of what's happening in the situation, especially when you run into situations that I've run into where I had to be really careful, because some of the women, and remember, I'm married, and I'm happily married. I have no reason to, do anything else. But you have women who are also either going out with people, married to people, and they're definitely giving you signs and keeping in contact with you, being around you, and you can see that whole indication is that person likes you, is interested in you. Now, as a male, you have to kind of take the reins a little bit and get yourself out of those situations. That's tough. Not easy. And you don't want to actually hurt the person if you can avoid it, but sometimes it's a situation where you have to kind of move past it, because you realize, again, like the Bible verse, you get involved in something like that, it's almost like going to a lamb to a slaughter, right? You're sitting there, you get slaughtered right in the bedroom, because the husband's going to come in, the boyfriend's going to come in with an arrow and shoot you. And that was the Bible story, right? Those are the types of things you have to be careful. This is why stalking and those type of creep behaviors that you will see during semen retention are going to happen. The women cannot avoid you. Biologically, they cannot avoid you. They try, they will continue to try. But they will eventually kind of wear down, because they want to see you, because there's something about you that they can't understand, and they're trying to figure out. If a person is very negative, and I know a couple of people like that, they will search you out. They will be with you because your energy draws them. They know down deep subconsciously that you're a positive draw, and they want that, especially if they're feeling negative and down about everything, complaining about everything, and this is what happens. And so what happens then is that you have to be careful. This person, they want you themselves. Well, unfortunately, you're married, and maybe they're married, or maybe they have a boyfriend or something like that, and all of a sudden they don't care, because the feeling they get when they're around you is unbelievable, because you have that energy and aura that you're keeping. And on top of that, because you have mastered yourself, now you become someone who is kind of Lamborghini, unreachable. And when a car drives by, or a person drives by, or a person walks by, that person's a star. You become that star on semen retention. But you also have to realize with that responsibility comes the responsibility of being able to handle that. And handle the fact that as this person who has this shiny type of car, you have to make sure those people who are going to be with you really earn that type of right. And now we go back to the whole situation of how to handle this type of thing. If you have somebody who's kind of creeping on you, or someone who's kind of talking with you, and you have to kind of figure out a way you want to diffuse the situation, but you don't want to agitate it more. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times people have trouble with rejection. If this person likes you a lot, they're going to continue to come by you. They're going to continue to be with you because they can't avoid it. This is not an easy situation, warriors, because you're going to have to then figure out how to diffuse this without getting that person upset, because this person may be at that kind of mode where the woman would say, if I can't have you, nobody else is going to have you. And they're going to make your life miserable because you'd kind of rejected them. So you don't want to be blunt about it, but you also want to be smart about it and realize that, you have control of the situation, but you need to kind of be aware of the situation. And sometimes, warriors, we're not aware of the situation, and it catches up to us at that point in time. So as Kirubel mentions, and a great comment, Kirubel, I think you're right about this. You're going to get people, and I get it at 61 years old. It happens to me almost every other day, right? We have people who are looking at you, staring at you, and we'll talk about this, I think, the next time. Why do they stare? But we'll talk about that next time. But it doesn't really matter what you look like, because you look better and better every day on retention. And you're going to be this shiny Maserati, this shiny car, this Porsche. And people want to drive it. They want to be in it. They want to touch it. But not everybody gets a chance to do that. And obviously, you got to have enough money to be able to do that. You have to be able to be in that level that they've earned to be able to do that. So this is why you have to be careful. And that's why we go back to the old story again of focusing on your goals, focusing on yourself, and don't worry about that. Recognize it, be aware of it. You got to diffuse it. The best way to diffuse it is just keep going on. Don't try to agitate the person who's doing it. Don't try to, just reject them outright, because what you really want to do is you want to be someone who's just kind of moving on. And if they're going to continue following and chase you, at some point, you might have to do something about it. And obviously, again, you don't want to agitate the situation more. It may cause you more problems than it's worth. But you may want to kind of sit down and talk to the person at some level if you have to. But in the meantime, you're focusing on goals, doing your own thing, and I would see what happens at that point. But yes, you're going to have to deal with this because of your immense aura that comes from this, the energy level that comes from this. Everybody wants it, because nowadays in this world, we don't have a lot of it. We don't have a lot of warriors out there like this. Part of the problem is that everybody's on addictions of drugs, medications, things like that. And then on top of that, they're releasing. They're not keeping their energy. They're stressing out. All these things are happening because men, and I'm talking to men now, are not strong enough right now the way they should be. That's because they don't have mastered themselves. They've lost control of themselves. They're depending on something else to control them instead of them controlling themselves. Once you learn how to control yourself, you now control things around you. You have to master yourself. You have to be able to say, I can control this. I'm not going to chase that person around. Never waste time chasing women. Never waste time on women anyway when it comes to this. Now, no offense to women at all. Women are wonderful. But don't spend a lot of time on this, because you have goals and things you have to accomplish, and women respect that. And in fact, they will chase you if you don't chase them. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to have some people who are going to go over the board. They're going to over the top. They want to see every chance they get, and they're going to be with you, even to say hi in a couple minutes. But at some point, it becomes so much that you got to say something. I would wait until you get to that point. In the meantime, do your goals and things like that. All right, so it's interesting, and I think, Kirubel, you make a great comment here, and I appreciate it, because this is something we haven't talked about for a long time. But what happens when you get somebody who creeps on you because of SR? And those things can happen. So you will get creeped, but you can also handle this by focusing on your goals, doing the things you got to do. And if it gets to the point where it's disturbing your goals and focusing on that, then you got to sit down and talk with the person. But once again, do it in a classy way, warriors. Don't sit there and just reject the person. Put the person in a situation where, you understand it, but the bottom line is that you're moving on, or you have a commitment to a relationship as well. You can't control the reaction. You're not going to be able to control that. But what you can control is how you react to it. And I say never antagonize a person, especially if the person has a huge crush on you or something like that, which is going to happen. A lot of this is because they have huge crushes on you, because of the way you are. And this is going to happen more time than you think it is. All right, my friends. Well, good comment for Kirubel. I appreciate that, my friend. And warriors, you have a great day today. Remember always two things. First of all, every day, like today, is a new day to a great warrior. And the battle cry is out, my friends. Continue to battle!